What would you need to feel whole right now? And what if I told you that you are already whole in this moment and every moment? I am Tavish Carduff. It is the last week of our raw materials 12-week cycle, Wholeness Week. Wholeness is the goal of the entire system, getting us each into a position where we feel whole within our mind, whole within our body, and whole within that connection. Back to my statement that you are always whole in every moment. The teacher of my healing school, Jim Crabtree, wrote a book called The 7 Windows to Wholeness, and it was an entire book dedicated to these 7 steps to make yourself feel whole. I've boiled it down to 12 pillars and one that is wholeness, and I think he would approve. Wholeness is what we each strive for, and if we are aware of our own raw material, that is what we each individually came in with, it makes it a lot easier to place our attention on each of those pillars and develop a relationship with them so that we understand what we have in abundance, what we lack, what we need, what we don't, what we want, and the things that we want to align to in a nutshell. There are different ways to go about handling each of the pillars, but wholeness brings them all together. Wholeness is the place where we remind ourselves with grace that every single thing that we do contains value, that every one of our experiences is valuable and it matters, and there is some purpose for it, even if we can't see the purpose. Personally, I am dealing with a lot right now. If you know me, you know I've had a bunch of stuff stolen. I have had to drop out of a disc golf tournament. I've had to rework some things physically to be able to play. Most notably today, I went to the dentist and I've got a whole new mouth surgery coming. My connective tissue has some issues. And in order to feel whole, I might think I need collagen that works. I need a body that can support the rest of my life. Right now, what I've got is some raw material to work with that is my connective tissue breaking down. I'm still whole. And the experience of having these limitations is in some way valuable to me. Once I've worked through my anger about it, my frustration about it, at least the initial onset of those things, I'm able to reason and find purpose and look for other things in the mix that are serving me or guiding me, because the thing I want isn't what I'm getting. And that's a tough space to be in. It really takes being able to take a deep breath, step back, and look at things from a different perspective, because when we don't get what we want, that can be very triggering, especially if we've worked hard for it or we feel like we have done our due diligence in order to get there, and then to learn that that's not where we're going to arrive, frustrating. Being able to deal with our frustrating moments, even though they haven't given us what they want, that is wholeness. That is the essence of wholeness, is letting things be exactly as they are. So, was I frustrated and disappointed and upset at each of the things that have happened? Absolutely. And during my days right now, there's still moments where these things come up and they force me to rework that mind-body connection. They force me to get into the space that allows movement, where I'd rather tighten up and be mad and call and yell at people, and it's not going to bring my stuff back. I know it's not. The satisfaction of screaming at someone isn't really a satisfaction, and I know that. I've done it enough times to know that it doesn't fulfill the void that's left by the stuff that's disappeared. What I need to be able to do is find grace and compassion for the people who took my stuff, and for myself for having genetics or a connective tissue disorder, whatever it is, that doesn't allow my body to do the things that other bodies naturally do. I know there are several areas where my body works exactly how it's supposed to and other people's don't. So I can see when I step back the value of what I get and the lesson in what I don't. That, my friends, is wholeness. And that's how we pull it together when things feel like they're falling apart. They're never actually falling apart, but the world can feel like it and the world can look like it. And our own safety is often in question as human beings. The integrity and safety of our soul, on the other hand, is living in a different realm, and it has a completely different set of criteria for what it calls healthy. So as my body breaks down, I'm entering my 55th year of life, everything is not working the way it used to. And I think, I hear people start saying that as early as their 30s, and I have fought it for a very long time because wholeness. Right now, there's a certain limitation with my eye that I can't completely shake, but I'm learning to work with it, and I'm learning to appreciate what is offered around me in wholeness so that I can work through the things that I'm not getting. And also recognize that that's not really what's on my plate right now. I have a lot of really cool things I'm working with that don't involve winning a major disc golf tournament. But somehow my personality wants to throw everything on the plate, and if I can't get to it all, somehow I'm not whole. And so these pillars give me the space to back up, gain perspective that holds me in a place of wholeness and allows every single moment to be perfect exactly how it is. All of the pillars point us to wholeness, but the 4th, 8th, and the 12th represent our physical body. Starting with ignorance, where we start to accept all of the things that we don't know and realize that the amount that we know is so minuscule in compared to everything there is to know, that we really just, gives you that space to step back and just see it differently. Conflict, that's where we, within ourselves or with another person or with society, come to odds. That is what the United States was, founded on, those differences between liberty and freedom, and, where somebody's freedom begins and someone else's liberty. There is so much in between what is allowed, what is acceptable, and what each of us believes that criteria to be. So we are running around with a whole bunch of human beings that if they made the laws, they would each be just a little bit different. And we have to acknowledge and live in the space with opposing ideas. That is tough, but that is, again, wholeness. Ignorance and conflict together bring us into the space that is wholeness. When we take everything that we don't know and can't understand, especially the things that we just aren't willing to take in because they're so horrible or they're so heinous, and then we see that experience as part of wholeness, we can appreciate with gratitude our own situation because we are not having to pick up that part of experience, but also be able to give heart energy and love and support to the physical limitations that our bodies encounter over and over based on our inability to change a belief system or change a behavior or change the way that we operate in the world, whatever that may be. As we wrap up one more session of our raw material, ending the spring and getting ready for the summer, I can't wait to get started on what the next session will look like. On behalf of myself and the entire staff at our raw material, we appreciate your input and your practice of the practice. We appreciate your involvement, we appreciate you listening, and look forward to bringing you another session with a new perspective on the same 12 pillars, bringing us each to our own understanding of wholeness.